welcome to the Room of Requirement. Today is the last part 4 of 4 of the Altar series. This one is entitled The Peace Beyond Seeking. So let's just go ahead and dive in. There is a kind of peace that does not arrive in a dramatic moment. It does not descend with revelation, and it doesn't erupt into emotion. It appears slowly, almost unnoticed, like evening settling over a structure that no longer trembles. After devotion steadies the flame, after communion deepens silence, after surrender releases control, something remains. Not emptiness, not urgency, not anticipation, but peace. This peace is not excitement. It is not the high of spiritual experience. It is not the relief of temporary calm. It is structural. It is the felt stability of a life no longer divided against itself. When seeking ends and surrender stabilizes, the nervous system softens into coherence. Beneath, our breath lengthens, speech slows, decisions clarify, and you're not chasing alignment, you are living inside of it. The peace beyond seeking is quiet, but it is not weak. It is dense. It is weight. It feels like standing in the center of a temple whose architecture you trust. The walls do not echo with restlessness, and the floor does not shake with uncertainty. The flame at the altar burns steadily, but not wildly. You are no longer scanning the horizon for the next revelation. You are present. Presence is the final fruit of the altar. When devotion becomes natural and surrender becomes instinctive, peace emerges not as a reward, but as a consequence. You stopped negotiating your path. You stopped comparing your journey. You stopped attempting to engineer spiritual progress. In that cessation, fragmentation dissolved. And when fragmentation dissolves, coherence fills the space. This peace does not eliminate difficulty. It eliminates internal conflict. Circumstances may shift. Challenges may arise. Loss may occur. But the structure holds. You do not fracture under pressure because you are no longer split between who you are and who you think you should be. You are aligned. Peace is alignment sustained. It is the absence of internal argument. It is the end of chasing intensity to prove growth. It is the quiet recognition that nothing essential is missing. Many seekers spend years searching for awakening when what they truly desire is peace. They imagine that peace will feel ecstatic. In reality, it feels grounded. It feels like stability in your chest. It feels like breathing without bracing, and it feels like making decisions without panic. Inside the altar, peace becomes your baseline rather than your goal. The geometry of your life stabilizes. The vertical axis of devotion remains intact. The horizontal axis of daily discipline holds firm. At the center, you stand, not performing, not striving, not grasping, just standing. Peace does not make you passive. It refines your power. When you are not driven by urgency, your actions become precise. And when you're not motivated by comparison, your direction becomes clear. When you are not chasing experience, your perception sharpens. You move when movement is required. You remain when stillness is sufficient. This is not the end of growth. It is the end of frantic searching. There is a maturity in this stage that feels almost invisible from the outside. You may not speak about it often. You may not display it dramatically, but those who are sensitive will feel it. There is a steadiness in your presence. There is less reaction in your energy. There is a quiet authority in your speech. Authority formed not from dominance, but from coherence. Peace is not the absence of fire. It is the fire contained within the structure. The altar flame does not burn higher to prove itself. It burns steadily because it's tended. You no longer need intensity to feel alive. You no longer need novelty to feel growth. You no longer need spectacle to feel connected. You are connected, and that connection is calm. There is something deeply mystical about peace when it stabilizes. It feels as though the temple breathes with you, as though the silence is no longer separate from your awareness, as though the architecture of your being and the architecture of something greater are aligned along the same axis. You are not trying to hold the sacred. You are resting within it. That is the peace beyond seeking. And yet, peace is not the end. It is preparation. When peace stabilizes, something new becomes possible. Not searching, not structure, not surrendering. Expression. When the temple is steady and the altar flame is constant, power can move outward without destabilizing you. Presence can influence without effort, and speech can shape without force. Action can arise without panic. The peace you cultivated becomes the ground from which something else is built. Not another threshold or another key, but creation. You do not return to seeking. You move into expression. The altar does not extinguish the fire. It refines it until it can illuminate beyond the temple walls. If the inner temple was about inhabitation, and the altar was about devotion, communion, and surrender, then what follows is not pursuit. It's emanation. Peace is not retreat. It is readiness. You have crossed. You have unlocked. You have inhabited. You have offered. You have surrendered. And now you stand in peace. And from that peace, something will be built. If you sit with this series, you may notice something settle. The urgency to chase has softened. The need to prove has quieted. The compulsion to compare has dissolved. What remains is steadiness. That steadiness is not the end of your path. It is the foundation of your influence. The altar flame is steady, and steady fire illuminates further than wild sparks ever could. When peace stabilizes, something subtle but powerful begins to occur. You stop trying to change reality, and reality begins to respond differently to you. Not because you forced it, and not because you manifested harder. Not because you intensified your effort, but because you became coherent. Coherence is quiet power. When your thoughts align with your actions, when your breath steadies, when your discipline is consistent and your speech measured, the field around you reorganizes. A stable center alters its environment. A steady flame changes the room. Most seekers attempt to influence the world from fragmentation, pushing outward while divided within. But once devotion is grounded, communion, deep and surrendered and real, your presence itself becomes influence. You are no longer a seeker moving through reality. You are the center within it. And centers reshape structures, not through force, but through gravity. If coherence alters reality, then responsibility follows coherence. If you are no longer chasing, then you are stabilizing. If you are no longer seeking, then you are radiating. The altar flame is steady, and steady fire does not wander. It illuminates. And this is what we will explore in the next series. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate every one of you. Thank you for your kind words and your comments. That means the world to me. The next series that I'm going to be doing is going to be on coherence. But I am probably going to do another video in between there that maybe ties all this in. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet, but thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.